Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look at Ethereum, and just before we do, peek over Bitcoin, see what's going on. Ultimately, Bitcoin is misbehaving. I think we all know that. It decreased by 27% in 16 hours on Friday, and ever since then, it's kind of been stuck going sideways right around 49,000. So it is kind of reaffirming itself at 49,000 as a potential support. Secondary support to that would be 47.8, and tertiary would effectively be 42,000. So not much to really extract at this point. Bitcoin just kind of consolidating as it should, considering it just fell flat on its face Friday, right? Now there's a lot of stuff going on in the market right now. You got to understand that it's not going to ramp back up immediately, but we should expect a slow progression upwards eventually once this consolidation period finishes. All right, so that was Bitcoin, right? We all kind of know what's going on. Now, Ethereum's a different story. And just before we jump into that, I'm so sorry. Not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes, but I tell you, I love teaching people how to trade. This is basically my day job, and I can tell you that I've been trading for over 15 years, and it's just, I'm truly passionate about it. So I hope you can learn a thing or two here today. That's my goal. And obviously consider becoming a community member, of course. I have a link in the description below for my Patreon account, but we're transitioning to a website format for that subscription service very, very soon by month end. So be prepared for that as well. But honestly, it'll be a smooth transition for anyone that's currently a patron, so don't worry about big picture and what that means. It's just going to have much more bells and whistles and provide a much better learning environment for my members. Okay, so just know it's I'm doing it for you, and it's going to make things much better for everyone. All right, so moving on to Ethereum. Here's what we're looking at here: 1-day chart. We've got the Fibonacci retracement levels up. We went from the highest point to the most recent low. And at this point, we can kind of see some obvious things. One thing to note, previous all-time high, right around 43.50, is potential resistance right now, okay? Now, it's not, it may or may not hold super strong, but it is a Fibonacci retracement level as well. So we got to respect the fact that if the price comes up to right around 43.50, there's a good chance we might see a potential rejection. But at this point, we can see the price kind of channeling itself somewhere between 4,000 and 4,400 as a rough estimate. Now, the good thing is, and take a look at this here, if you compare this with Bitcoin, you can see a pretty significant, a stark difference, right? You can see Bitcoin falling flat off an edge and all the way back down here, right? We look at Ethereum, you can see, yes, it was higher at this point when it fell, but it's more accumulating in this one zone instead of spreading itself thin and digressing downwards, right? So Bitcoin's pretty much done one of these, and Ethereum has effectively done one of these, right? So that's a much healthier pattern. And I love to see that because ultimately it tells me that Ethereum is going to do much better in the big picture. Not even considering all the fundamentals that you should definitely have done your research on. The ecosystem for Ethereum, albeit high gas fees, is still very, very good. It's robust. There's, damn near everything is on Ethereum blockchain. So just keep that in mind. It's got a tremendous amount of longevity. I do feel we're going to see a 2 to 3x at the very least in the next 6 months from Ethereum. And the main reason why I say that is just because it does tremendously better than Bitcoin. And it's like the first thing you want to, as an indication of altcoin season. So when Ethereum takes off independent of Bitcoin, that's when you know that alt season is right on the horizon, because it kind of just, it's a very first altcoin to adopt a lot of that capitalization from Bitcoin, if you will. So right now, Bitcoin is still figuring itself out. People still feel it's a good value. I still think it will increase, but I don't think we're going to see 6 figures in the immediate future from Bitcoin, right? If we do, great. I know the 4-year cycle kind of tells us that we might expect that, but the 4-year cycle can't anticipate world events such as inflation and crazy other things that are happening in the world right now, right? You didn't see a pandemic coming. None of us saw that, right? So just got to be real with that, okay? That being said, let's look at some of the technical stuff and call it a day. So looking at the 1-day chart, we're looking at the price under the 50, above the 200. That's a good channel. I like to see when the price kind of travels between those two lines. I prefer it to be over the 50, but it makes sense it's not right now considering what just happened, right? So not terrible stuff there. We are under 50 on the RSI, which is, I would say, normally a potential concern, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly, considering what happened. I would say that it's actually a good thing that the price is able to consolidate right there, because then it'll probably break through that resistance channel easily. And what I mean by a resistance channel is, again, the previous all-time high about 43.50. That's concurrent with the price action on the RSI at 50. Okay, so good stuff there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart and see what's going on here. So we're under 50 on the RSI as well here, but you can see it's testing that resistance at about 4,200. So reaffirming that 4,200 is a strong resistance for Ethereum, but also once we break, because again, the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break, it will probably continue to progress upwards and likely break through the next major resistance. Speaking of resistance, we do have the 50 and the 200-day moving average trending right here at the resistance level, about 43.50. Again, that's the previous all-time high. A lot of accumulation right there. I'm venturing to guess we're going to see a decent amount of volume as well, and we do see the most amount of volume at that point. In fact, the most volume is accumulating right around 4,000 to 4,300. Okay, now granted, this is only the last 2 to 2.5 weeks of trading data here, but that tells us a lot, right? Because that's where most of the time Ethereum has spent, the most time here in this price range, right? So we got to respect that and understand that, yes, we're just slightly below a potential resistance channel, but we're within the most amount of volume accumulation, which is a very good sign. Bitcoin does not have the same behavior, okay? So just bear that in mind. All right, so all good stuff there. I would say that we're in good shape. I'm not worried about 50 on the RSI being a potential resistance. I can see that we had a potential bounce here on the MACD convergence as well, which is ultimately a good sign. It's equivalent to a MACD convergence. In fact, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour chart and see where the Ishimoku cloud stacks up. This is fantastic. I love to see this. Now, there's no guarantees that the price is going to keep shooting up, right? Granted, we're transitioning into a resistance level here, but in the big picture, traditionally speaking, price above the cloud is a buy signal, and a convergence in the MACD as well on the 4-hour chart is concurrently with what I refer to as a double rainbow. If you're new to the channel, that might sound a little funny, but I just find it to be two awesome things combining as one, usually giving you a pretty good sign that the price is going to continue upwards. Now, double rainbow transitioning into a resistance level, specifically 50 on the RSI on the 4-hour, can be a potential resistance that might hold the price down. But we have a better chance of the price breaking that resistance, transitioning up to about 43.50 or close to that before we see a retracement. And the reason why I say that is because we look at TD sequential here, you can see we're at an 8, and the fact of the matter is that we have a good chance to not continue to push past that barrier in the immediate future based on the fact that we've only got about 1 hour left of bullish momentum. Okay, so again, a little bit of conflicting information here. We've got some good signs in the big picture, but short term here, when it comes to, just say market exhaustion, etc., we shouldn't expect the price to just ramp up right now. But I wouldn't also be surprised if we see somewhere between 4,200 and 43.50 as the next channel that it works within. Because if you look back here, again, this was that knee-jerk reaction from Bitcoin selling off, but you see the price came all the way up to a 9 and then transition over to another 9 as well. So we got 2 9s, one here, one here. And the price goes sideways, slightly retraces, down to a 7, and now we're back up to an 8. So there's a good chance we might be able to see a 9 again, right, after a little consolidation at this resistance at 4,200 up to about 43.50. Those are strong likelihoods based on what we see here. Because again, ultimately, price above the cloud, price, the price effectively converging on the MACD on the 4-hour chart, those are better factors than just being overextended on a TD sequential. Because overextension doesn't matter too much when you have good momentum and some positive factors. Just note that this is a resistance level on the RSI at 50, right around 4,200. So I think I can comfortably say we're probably going to break that, and there's a good chance we'll see the price continue upwards, regardless of TD sequential telling us we're kind of maxed out. Worst case scenario, we see something like this here, where we see some consolidation at resistance, becomes a new support, and then it legs up to 4,300. We can pass this point here, we're going to be in really good shape to see a break to the upside. Again, most of this is contingent on Bitcoin not falling flat on its face. Regardless of the fact that Ethereum has done very, very well for itself outside of Bitcoin's behavior, we still need to acknowledge the fact that if Bitcoin falls a good 3,000 or 4,000 in the immediate future, we're going to see that temperature check from Ethereum come down and test either 3,800 or 3,520. Okay, so right in that range, 3,500, 3,800 could be tested if we see that. So I recommend not a tight stop loss if you have one in place. I do feel comfortable in saying that 4,000 is a super strong support level. I mean, we can just take a look here on the 1 day, and you can see how much time it's spent right here at 4,000 and how well it's done in the face of all the other crazy, stupid shenanigans that Bitcoin's throwing at us, right? Those things speak highly. All the technical data aside, when you can find a coin that performs very well, contrary to how Bitcoin is performing, those are ones you want to pay attention to, right? Not to mention its ecosystem and just how much diversity it has and how many coins are work within the blockchain itself. There's no way that Ethereum is not the future, right? Will it surpass Bitcoin next 2 or 3 years? That's up for contention, right? We may actually see something like that. Will it pass Bitcoin in price? That's negligible. We don't know that yet, but As far as value and just how much growth we could see, yeah, definitely. I'm more bullish on Ethereum than I ever am on Bitcoin, if that gives you an indication. So keep adding to your position here with Ethereum. Dollar cost average close to 4,000 is possible. 4,200 is still a good value in my opinion, right? But I've set a lot of limit orders and gotten a lot of fills recently close to 4,000. I'm perfectly fine by that. All right. The last thing we want to do is here we can go with potential here, right? Why don't we just go ahead and go with best case, right? Let's just go ahead and remove this for a moment. And let's just say, bigger case scenario. And this would be what? Because what that was September 21st, 2.5 months. So roughly it took about 2 months for Ethereum to increase approximately 85%, or just say 83%. Okay, if we want to see that same amount of growth from Ethereum, just say, for example, we're going to get that same amount of growth moving forward. It'll put us at about 7,100. 7,100 is a round number there. So 45% higher than its current all-time high. We could see about 7,000 in the next month from Ethereum, right? Again, that's just a loose estimate. We don't truly know, but Fibonacci retracement has a really good indication of where something will be based on where it's been so far, right? And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're just kind of taking this 2 months of trading data. We can repeat that same behavior next month or two. It is very likely to see 7,000. Okay, so that's my speculation. That's exactly why we have a open swing signal in our trading community at 5,000 for our first take profit target, and then again I think 6, 7, and perhaps even 10,000 if I'm not mistaken for the fourth, because I'm confident we're going to be able to see 5 figures from Ethereum eventually. May not be this season, maybe not, but I think we're going to be able to see a 2x if nothing else. All right, hopefully you found benefit here, and obviously if you haven't had a chance to consider joining my Patreon community, or just my trading community rather, because we're transitioning away from Patreon. In fact, I'm rolling out with the website here soon to make sure that transition is a smooth transition for everyone and is facilitating a better learning environment for my newer members. Okay, so we're going to be transitioning to that. I'll provide that website, that web link for you soon. We're going to have that up and running in the next couple weeks. But for now, consider joining. If not, comment below. Let me know what's going on. Let me know if you find benefit, or more importantly, what your consideration is here for Ethereum. Do you like Ethereum? Do you think it's going to go places? Or you kind of just think it's a dead weight? Let me know. Comment below. Thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day.